comment or two. I think it's been a very interesting hearing. I think there is consensus that there's a lack of certainty, maybe certainty in different areas, that you might share different areas that don't have certainty, but you're looking to us to provide some of the certainty so that EPA can move forward. In my view, nothing screams lack of certainty than having an exemption that is then revoked 2 years later. I mean, that to me is just unconscionable, no matter what it's happening to. If it was a corn producer, if it was a refiner, if it's a coal miner, anything, an EV car maker, if you have the okay and it says that you're going to have the permit to move forward, how can you possibly conduct business if somebody's going to come back 2 years later and revoke it? So, I mean, I think that to me is lack of certainty. And, you know, I do have the study here that shows from the University of Wisconsin that U.S. corn-based ethanol is worse for the climate. I'm not going to argue that. I don't know. I think that we need to get, what is a life cycle? When does it start? How long does it go? What kind of emissions are included in producing ethanol from corn, or growing corn, or getting crude out of the ground? I mean, I think we need to have some consistency here and certainty here on that we're using the same measurement data, because I think it confuses the American public, quite frankly, and many of us here who are making those decisions. I just want to thank you, Mr. Chairman. I don't really have a question. I just thank the witnesses for being informed, and I thought our members asked some really good questions.
Yeah, this has been valuable. This committee, as you know, is pretty good at finding the middle and complex, difficult issues, unanimously in some cases. And this is a hard one. And we look forward to working with your team and others that are on this committee and trying to find a path forward going forward. I'd like to say, if it isn't perfect, make it better. The situation is not a perfect situation. We got to do better than this. Thank you. I'm going to go back to our panel again. I'd ask a question I call a common ground question. And I'd ask each of you to take a minute to let us know where you believe there's common ground among all of you. I think only Ms. Score had the opportunity to respond. So let me just ask our other witnesses if they would respond as well. And Ms. Nguyen, why don't you go first?
Yeah, thank you for the question, Senator Harper. I think I would echo.
Common ground.
Yes, common ground. So I think I would echo what Ms. Score has and Ranking Member Capito have mentioned, certainty. It is something that we hear quite a bit from the stakeholders that participate in the Oregon Clean Fuels Program and in the market. Certainty as far as regulatory certainty, as far as the standards being established for our program. That is why we are undertaking our current rulemaking now to expand those standards out to 2035 to provide that certainty. And I think along with certainty, I mean, transparency in what we do, in the way that we do our life cycle accounting and the modeling and the information that is used to establish those carbon intensities, as well as the market aspects of our program, the credit pricing and the transactions for that. I mean, it is something that is the pillars of how we implement the program in Oregon, and I think has served us really well.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Pugliaresi.
Yes, thank you.
Did I get it right?
Yes.
Pugliaresi?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah.
I was thinking one of the problems is maybe we should try to do a better job of getting a common set of facts so we can.
Sometimes that helps.
Sometimes it helps. And I think that one of the things I'd like to ask the community to do is let's have the Energy Information Agency publish data for us on what the FOB export price of gasoline is and what the wholesale domestic price of gasoline is. Let's have them break down the components, because there's a lot of discussion of crude oil is causing prices to go up. Of course it is, but there are other components in the manufacturing of transportation fuels. And I think if we could get them to do a little more work on this, we might get some consensus or a sense of where are the hot spots, so to speak, beyond crude oil that are driving up gasoline prices.
Good. Thank you for that suggestion. Ms. Koch, same question.
I think a common ground is that small refineries do not oppose biofuels. So biofuels that are lower emitting are not a problem. Where we depart is on the ability of everybody to share and the ability to blend or pay reasonably high RIN prices. But I would say that we have commonality in wanting lower emitting biofuels. I think where we depart on that point also is on whether or not ethanol is in fact a lower emitting fuel, because as we've been talking about, the recent study suggests that ethanol could be 24% higher emitting of greenhouse gas emissions than petroleum-based fuels. So to Mr. Puglisi's point, information is key. Senator Ernst explained that blending is a choice. It is not a choice when you don't have access to biofuels. So I think the EIA could help us enormously by, instead of resisting Freedom of Information Act requests related to how much is each refinery paying to buy RINs? What is each refinery's actual cost of compliance? We understand that sufficient RINs are available for compliance, but not in the hands necessarily of the people who need them for compliance. Whose hands are they in? So more forthcoming data would certainly help to dispel maybe some of the disagreements. So I think that would be important. There are substantial barriers to blending, which I agree with Ms. Score. There are. I think we disagree as to what those barriers are, but there are substantial barriers. We have to have a change to the renewable fuel standard if we want it to be sensible, if we want it to not distort competition, and if we want to bring down the price of gasoline and diesel.
Thank you. I have a real